Just about every industry we can think of has evolved, morphing into something different than where it started. This is especially true when we look at farming practices. Growing food today looks much different than it used to, even with the current demand for more natural farming processes. But certain farmers are going back to the roots of their craft by implementing a holistic approach developed in the 1920s.
Biodynamic farming was created by a man named Rudolf Steiner, and it's a philosophy, a practice that we've been using here at our winery for over 15 years. Basically, the way I like to describe biodynamic farming is to relate it to something that most people know, and that would be organic farming. And actually, biodynamic farming is, in a way, the root of organic farming in this country and in the world. There's only a few things that are different about biodynamic farming than organic farming. One is that we use these specially derived preparations, which are made from both manures and herbs at various times in the season on our soils, on our plants, and in our compost piles. We also follow something called a biodynamic calendar, which allows us to understand what's happening in the skies around us and how that might affect our practices here on Earth. Another thing that we do that's different than organic is that we use primarily compost and cover crops for our fertility. We stay away from most mineral fertilizers at all times when it's possible. And then I think most importantly is that biodynamic farming is a farming of healing. And it's a farming of healing the earth and the ground and the property that we live on.
Biodynamic farming has gained traction in recent years, particularly in the wine industry. As an expert in biodynamic farming, Steve Beckmen explains how these principles impact the winemaking process from planting to harvest to wine glass.
As far as the process goes of biodynamic farming versus organic or conventional, it doesn't really necessarily slow or quicken the process of winemaking. Winemaking and wine growing is a year-long process. It's a multi-year process that isn't necessarily changed by the specific farming method that you choose. As far as taste goes, grapes taste what they taste like, and they're a reflection of the variety, and they're also a reflection of where they're grown. And that doesn't necessarily change either with biodynamic farming. But with wine and with wine taste, there's a little bit more than just flavor. There's also things like texture and feel and roundness, and I think all great wines have a certain feeling to them. And I think biodynamic farming has allowed us to achieve that mouthfeel, that roundness, that elegance that we're looking for in our wines on a more consistent basis than our former conventional methods. I think people are really concerned and want to know where their food and beverage is coming from and how it's made. Biodynamic farming is another alternative to organic and conventional farming that I think people should know and understand. It's certainly something that's becoming more and more popular, not only in our wine business, but in other businesses as well.
Caring for the land the way nature intended, Beckmen Vineyards has been producing world-class wines since 1994. At the heart of the operation is the belief that good wine comes from good grapes, that comes from great plants, that grew in the right soil. All of this is nurtured by the vision, passion, and dreams of the Beckmen family.
At Beckmen, we've been farming on 2 different properties for over 20 years. Our portfolio consists of wines that are made exclusively from the Los Olivos property and the Ballard Canyon property. So specifically, we have Cabernet Sauvignon that comes from the Los Olivos property, and Syrah, Grenache, and other Rhone varieties that come from our Ballard Canyon property. In addition to that, we also make some blends that blend grapes and wines from the 2 properties. So just about every wine that we make at Beckmen Vineyards comes from grapes grown on either the Los Olivos or Ballard Canyon properties. We've always been really passionate about preserving our natural environment, the nature of the properties that we own and plant and work. It's something that's been with us even before we started biodynamic. We planted things so that we didn't disturb the natural hillsides. We planted our rows in the right direction so that they would flow naturally with the landscape. The other thing that we also did was we didn't remove any of our prized oak trees around here. When we planted around all the oak trees, we really wanted to preserve the natural environment. It can't be all about just your farm and just what you grow. You need diversity, and you also need a lot of natural environment around your vineyards and around what you grow.
This level of commitment is evident in every barrel, bottle, and pour. Industry awards and critic reviews consistently rate Beckmen wines at the top of some of the most well-known lists.
I think the biggest thing for us to keep us consistent is the fact that we're primarily an estate-grown winery. And that means that we planted and we grow and we produce all of our own wine from our own vineyards. We're sourcing our wines from the same blocks year after year after year. Those blocks are maturing as we're maturing as wine growers and winemakers. And I think that's really the key for us to be consistent year after year and to push our level of quality year after year. I think for us, we're looking to not only grow as people and as growers, but we're also looking to expand our brand and our brand recognition for Beckmen Vineyards. But beyond that, we want to teach people about what we do and how we go about achieving what we achieve. We also want to continue to promote our viticultural areas, both Los Olivos District and Ballard Canyon, and as a whole, the great wines that are made from Santa Barbara County.
To learn more, visit us online or call the number on your screen.